Welcome to Neuro-Oncology, the podcast, where we bring you cutting-edge science, inspiring career journeys, and real-life stories within the world of brain tumor research and care.
Hi, so this is Rachna Malani coming from the University of Utah Huntsman Cancer Institute. On behalf of SNO, we're interviewing David Arons today, who's part of the National Brain Tumor Society. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Arons. Thank you for being here.
Very nice to meet you, Rajna. Please call me David.
Thank you. Well, David, would you mind sort of sharing with us a little bit about your background and sort of how brain tumors may have touched your life?
Sure thing. It all really starts with my father died of melanoma when I was a teenager, and so it brought a lot of awareness to me about cancer and how much I disliked cancer because it stole my father away. And so as I grew up and became a professional, I always knew I wanted to in some way fight cancer. And so I became a lawyer. I did different jobs. But one day I was able to start working at the American Cancer Society, and I was able to marry something I wanted to do personally with my work. And that gave an opportunity to fight cancer. And then ultimately I moved to Boston and found the National Brain Tumor Society and became part of the National Brain Tumor Society's team and was able to fight brain cancer, and have had relatives, sadly, who have had brain cancer, and friends, very close friends. So it's touched me personally, but I get to work on this professionally as well.
That must be quite rewarding to be able to see your advocacy in action.
Very much so. It's every day a privilege to be able to speak up, advocate, and to help the field of neuro-oncology do what it needs to do to be successful.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, from your experiences, were there moments that touched you, or that you found sort of helpful from your perspective, and how the treatment team may have interacted with you or your loved ones that might be sort of helpful for those of us who are in this space treating the tumors to be aware of too?
Are you referring to in my personal background?
Personal, as well as through the advocacy work that you do, how we talk about things. Are there things that you feel treatment teams, whether that be the physicians or the APCs, the nurses, are there things that we can all do that are helpful to a family member or the family that's experiencing the tumor?
I think one of the biggest things for families is for the medical team to understand and get from the family how much risk they want to take on in the treatment of aggressive malignant brain tumors. For lower grade brain tumors, maybe like acoustic neuromas or other more benign tumors, the treatment is straightforward: surgery and you're done, or radiation and you're done. But for aggressive gliomas, it's much more complex, and so it'd be really helpful for medical teams to discuss risk-taking strategy with families up front, so they can get a sense of, okay, should I the doctor, be thinking ahead to clinical trials? Should I be kind of thinking about how do we put together a strategy versus just thinking about it one treatment at a time?
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your journey with NBTS a little bit more in detail and sort of the impact it's had on your life?
Absolutely. I started at National Brain Tumor Society as heading up their public policy program. They didn't really have one until I joined, and that was my job, is to start a program so that National Brain Tumor Society could interface with government, Congress, the president, the executive branch. And we did that, and we grew the number of, say, volunteers from just a handful to thousands, so that we can enable the voices of patients and caregivers to come to Washington and make a difference. Now as CEO, touched by the lives of people with brain tumors every day. It's just, meeting and helping families. But the main thing is to design programs at National Brain Tumor Society that are able to do three things: defeat brain tumors through research, help connect the community to each other and to experts, and create the change to research systems, public policy, and healthcare systems that can create a more favorable environment for leading to ultimately cures and better quality of life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about sort of what keeps you motivated doing all of this? Because I imagine it's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. How do you keep motivated?
Well, it's both a marathon and a sprint, because it's a marathon to have the stamina to help research and other programs help improve lives in a whole population.
Yeah.
But you have to have a sprinter's mentality in terms of helping families each day, because they may have short-term survival expectations. So it's how do we move into rapid action mode for each and every family that's facing the gravest crisis, healthcare crisis of their lives. We have to move fast. It's a sprinter's mentality. Race to the best doctors, race to the best hospitals, race to the best clinical trials. You have to move fast. But yes, we have to play the long game as well and make sure that we are designing the best clinical trials for the future, that we're selecting better and better drugs, and that we actually have discovery science that understands the biology of brain cancer better tomorrow than we did yesterday.
Yeah, that's very true. Do you find that, like for you personally and also through the organization, have there been sort of successes that you feel really proud of or that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. Just in the last couple of years, the National Brain Tumor Society has seen several new approvals of medicines, of therapies, drugs for patients with brain tumors, where we played a role in it. Everything from the new treatment for patients with IDH-mutated gliomas called vorasidenib. We provided grant funding that helped inform those studies. New treatment for diffuse midline glioma that we had provided grant funding early on that helped discover a mutation that is the mutation that this drug is designed to treat.
Yeah.
So we see the results of our work in drug discovery, drug development, and we're also been excited because our advocacy work has led to over doubling the federal funding for brain tumor research over a 10, 12-year period of time.
Wow, that's really remarkable. I mean, the drugs alone, the drug discovery is so impactful. I mean, like vorasidenib, for example, like how the development of an oral drug that has some ease with it, providing that, meaning it can also be more accessible to more people, maybe not just who live near a comprehensive cancer care center. So like that's so meaningful and impactful on people's lives.
It really is. It's a testament to not only those who develop the drug, but to the company that is manufacturing and selling the drug, that they've found a way to deliver it, but also keep it affordable.
Yeah. Have you encountered any pitfalls in this journey that you've learned from that have helped you personally or the organization as well?
I think there's all kinds of pitfalls in this. And they're just the barriers that we face. Some are unique to the brain tumor space. Some are that are facing all kinds of charitable organizations. Within brain tumors, we have our scientific barriers, like how can we make the blood-brain barrier a barrier of the past?
Yeah.
And I think we will be able to accomplish that with technology change over time. But Americans, especially post-COVID, want to stay at home more. They don't come out as much to your classic charity walks. They like to do things much closer to their own neighborhood and even in their own homes. And so we as nonprofit organizations who are dependent and need the masses, lots of volunteers and lots of people to get involved, we have to do new things. We have to try new ways of bringing the community out to galvanize and mobilize to all pursue our mission together.
Yeah, that's beautiful. How has engagement evolved over the last few years? Like, have you had to use new strategies? Like, how has that gone?
Absolutely. We've used very new strategies, which is really meeting people where they're at. More and more people want to, for example, do fundraising in their own way. And so whether it's having their own kind of party or event at a restaurant, or they want to ride a bike and raise money, or they're seeing an explosion of marathon runners who like to raise money in support of them to run a marathon. And so we support all of those kinds of ways that people fundraise in their own way. And it's called Fundraise Your Way.
Yeah.
And our program, Gray Nation Endurance, is our
Yes.
marathon running team that enables runners to raise money and get involved in fighting brain tumors.
That's beautiful. For patients and families that are, either starting on this journey of having a loved one have a tumor or have one themselves, what would you say to them in terms of how to begin from getting into advocacy and speaking up for themselves, not only in the clinic, but just in general for brain tumor awareness and for research?
Absolutely. First thing is self-advocacy. It's the most important kind of advocacy, and that is, I would say, come to us and we'll sit down with you on the phone, by Zoom, even in person, and talk to you about how to talk to your care team, how to push your care team even with the right questions at the right time. You need to become strong healthcare consumers.
Yeah.
And come at it with a consumer advocacy mentality so that you're getting the most for your medical team, but it's knowing which questions to ask at the right time. So we can help with that. At National Brain Tumor Society, we'll help people with that. Then there's public policy advocacy, and we train people, volunteers, patients, caregivers, doctors, to learn how to talk to Congress, how to talk to elected officials, and to work together to advance a policy agenda to try to improve research and improve healthcare.
Yeah, that's incredible. I've been fortunate to have attended Head to the Hill actually before.
Yeah.
Would you mind speaking to Head to the Hill and sort of what that means to you and the organization?
Sure thing. Head to the Hill is our signature advocacy event of the year, where 300 to 400 people from all across the United States, all 50 states plus DC, mobilize, and they come together the first Monday and Tuesday in May to advocate on specific legislation designed to enhance research and improve healthcare for patients with brain tumors and help research, and in this environment to help increase federal government's funding of brain tumor research. It's a huge event. We invite everyone to be part of it. You can sign up at braintumor.org.
That's great. I mean, organizing at that level is just so huge, but even on the local level, so all of these advocacy efforts only help. Are there pearls of wisdom that you would then offer to the care team as well for advocating for patients, as well as not just, in the clinic, but also on a local level or a government level, university level? Like, are there things we could be doing to advocate as well?
Absolutely. I think there's so much advocacy that needs to go on, educating state governments about what's needed for brain tumor patients, because state government is the government that mostly regulates insurance in their state. So much insurance is regulated by state government, especially in the fully insured market, the private employer market. And so that's really important, is what kinds of healthcare protections do patients need. But another kind of advocacy that's really important has nothing to do with public policy necessarily, but it's how care teams can help advocate to employers about what are the needs of survivors when they come back to work. How employers can help make reasonable accommodations for patients, for brain tumor survivors, so they can re-enter the workforce in ways that are competent to their brain tumor survivorship needs. That's super important.
Yeah, absolutely. And with being the National Brain Tumor Society, could you speak to a little bit about the breadth of brain tumors that you serve? Because I imagine it's more than glioma. Would you mind sort of touching upon that and sort of why it is also so encompassing?
Absolutely. National Brain Tumor Society cares about patients whether the brain tumor started in their head or ended up in their head through CNS metastasis. So there's over 120 different types of primary brain tumors, plus 5 types of cancers where it may metastasize to the brain, and we serve and help and care about patients and their families regardless of brain tumor type. Most primary brain tumors are actually non-malignant brain tumors. Out of the 1 million Americans living today with a brain tumor, most have a benign or non-malignant brain tumor. But of course, those present neurological manifestations, can present patients with disability, all kinds of conditions as well. And we help them, we serve them, we help connect them with great care. So it's not just those with the most severe aggressive brain tumors like glioblastoma or diffuse midline glioma. It's all brain tumors. And we have many, many volunteers with every different kind of brain tumor, and we want to help everybody.
That's really remarkable. Along those lines too, when you serve such a large breadth and you must have so many patients and families coming to you for the more acute needs, beyond advocacy work, sort of just day to day, like, navigating insurance or doctor's visits or just sort of the financial toxicity of cancer care. Do you have resources for that too, for patients and families and those sort of things as well?
100%. We have a couple different programs. One is our patient support and navigation, where we have nurses and a social worker that help patients and families find the resources they need, whether it's the medical experts or pointing in the right direction to financial resources, psychosocial services, other kinds of supports. We also have several different support groups that we host every month, and that's a way that patients can talk to each other. We also have a caregiver support group where caregivers talk to each other and learn from each other. And we also have a grief support group where families who are going through grief can help each other and learn from each other. And so this is a way we create community and bring people together. We also have over 15 different mass gatherings, charity walks each year, where it brings together regional communities of families and networks and companies that all support each other.
Yeah. It's tremendous. I mean, your work is clearly massively meaningful. On a personal level, what does it feel like to you to be able to do this?
It just feels, I feel a sense of gratitude. I feel a sense of privilege to be able to work with all of these amazing people, patients, caregivers, families, and everyone around. Our staff at National Brain Tumor Society are amazingly caring human beings, many of whom have been touched by a brain tumor in their family. Our board of directors is made up of people who are directly affected by this disease. And then it's amazing to work in the greater neuro-oncology community and with the Society for Neuro-Oncology that really also creates a professional community. So it's really like we're all working together as one family with one purpose.
That's so beautiful. Being here at SNO and getting to speak to each other here is such a special environment, just seeing all the talks that have been going on, all the posters over this last week. Has there been anything that stood out to you during this conference specifically?
Just the diversity of the people. This is, of course, the once every 4 years, in this case, once every 12 years, it's hosted here of all the different societies of neuro-oncology around the world coming together as one place. And so it's awesome to really think about and talk about brain tumors as a global problem, not just a U.S. national problem. Yeah. And in conferences like this, we get to talk about health disparities in much more rich and striking ways than perhaps we do normally in U.S. conferences, because in some countries, like Tanzania, there's like one neuro-oncologist for millions of people. Yeah. And, of course, that's very different in the U.S. And so we have to put our healthcare system in the context of others. But that's the unique thing about this year's conference, is talking about the global scene.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That really puts that into perspective. On as an individual, were there moments where, to see the success of NBTS now, you can look back and say, wow, I've done so much. But were there moments where you were hesitant to do this, or how did you work through sort of the fear of maybe not knowing what was going to happen?
I think that there was definitely moments of not knowing what was going to happen. One of the biggest challenges, of course, to us was like anybody was COVID, and how could we help make sure brain tumor patients are best served during the COVID era. And it was amazing to see SNO members and the field of neuro-oncology really rally to help patients during that pandemic. And we've learned so much because of it as well, around telehealth, decentralized trials. And so this is a way that one of the worst crises of our lives, this pandemic, can also foster innovation.
Yeah.
And so now it's our duty to leverage that innovation and honor people and patients by taking it forward and doing something with that.
Yeah, oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with all of us. It's deeply touching, and your work is important isn't enough to emphasize what it means to all of us. So thank you so much.
Well, really appreciate the opportunity today, and let's keep pushing hard to conquer and cure brain tumors once and for all.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Neuro-Oncology, the podcast. The views and opinions of the participants in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the Neuro-Oncology family of journals or their affiliated societies. And finally, until next time, thanks for listening.